Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing out there? I know I'm having a day. I don't know about you guys, and well, hell, let's just tell it how it is. Bibas children were murdered. Their mother was not returned. Josh Glover coming in already says this whole situation with Trump and Ukraine is so infuriating. Josh, don't you worry. We're actually going to talk about that as soon as we get done talking about the Bibas children and how they were murdered. Hopefully you can shed better light on it, but I feel we betrayed them. Well, we're going to talk about that today, and I promise you we will shed some more light on it. We are going to have a good discussion on it. I'm doing my best to cut through all of the BS and just let you guys know where it's at. I am feeling sexy AF today, and I don't know. Do you guys like the new setup? See this flag right here? This one right here? This got gifted to me by a beautiful human being that fought inside Gaza with it and fought inside southern Lebanon with it. How freaking awesome is that? It's amazing. I also have a Ukrainian flag I need to unpack now that got sent to me by Texas from Chosen Company as well. I need to unpack that, and I need to get that up and running, and I need to actually follow through with what I said I was going to do and continue on to do the fundraisers for them as well. I haven't forgot about that. Now, we're going to get into Ukraine here in a little bit in the show, but we do need to 100%. Yeah, it's almost like I set up the studio correctly. Like some weird portion of stress has been taken out of my life that has allowed me to concentrate and make things look good. Now, before we talk about what happened, let's put this in perspective.
יש פה שלט ששמו לנו החברים שלנו הקוניואים. בוא.
עכשיו מה לא בקן.
בוא, אני לא יכולה להרים אותך. בוא נעשה אותך. תכף אני אכנס לך.
You will watch every minute of this video.
אתה רוצה לעלות? בוא. זה אח שלך, הקטן, פולחנסיו. אתה רוצה לנטף אותה?
It's got 2 seconds to go, so I'm going to pause it right there. Obviously, people were holding out hope inside Israel that they'd be okay. They were. I think by now we all know that the mother hasn't been returned. And so there's no point in me even going over that. But the new information that just emerged kind of within this last hour is freaking disturbing. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to show this still shot again of the mother and the 2 children. After you listen to this,
we can confirm that baby Kfir Bibas, aged just 10 months old, and his older brother Ariel, aged 4, were both brutally murdered by terrorists while being held hostage in Gaza, no later than November 2023. These 2 innocent children were taken hostage alive together with their mother Shiri from their home on October 7th, 2023. Contrary to Hamas's lies, Ariel and Kfir were not killed in an airstrike. Ariel and Kfir Bibas were murdered by terrorists in cold blood. The terrorists did not shoot the 2 young boys. They killed them with their bare hands.
Let me rewind that for you again.
Bare hands. After with their bare hands.
I hope you heard that.
Afterwards, they committed horrific acts to cover up these atrocities. This assessment is based on both forensic findings from the identification process and intelligence that supports the findings. We have shared these findings, intelligence and forensics, with our partners around the world so they can verify it, and that the entire world will know exactly how the...
Now, I know what you're asking yourself. What were these intel forensics along with the actual forensics that they ended up pulling? IDF announced this morning, 8:02 a.m. Central Standard Time, 1 hour ago, on their English channel. Ariel and Kafir Bibas were murdered by terrorists in cold blood. The terrorists did not shoot the two young boys. They killed them with their bare hands. Afterwards, they committed horrific acts to cover up these atrocities. End quote. That's exactly what they said. Patrick Loudon, I appreciate you coming in right now. He says, I agree with Trump when he says not a single building should be left standing in Gaza after this. Yep. Yeah, as you should. Adara and Emily Davis, I want to thank both of you for donating Speak the Truth memberships this morning. You guys are great. You've always been there. So what was it? What did they say about it? Israeli Pulse News put out this morning, and I'm just going to do my best to zoom in on this so that you can read it along with me, because I think that's fair. Intelligence information now reveals why Hamas is struggling to provide Shari's body. During November of 23 ceasefire, the name Bibas, also known as the Redheads, appeared in intelligence reports. Hamas referred to them as Al-Hamar and realized they were held by an extreme Salafi group. Hamas needed to secure the release as part of the hostage deal. The intelligence later confirmed the Bibas family had been brutally murdered, strangled to death. Their captors, described as inhuman, then tampered with their bodies to obscure the cause of death, likely to claim they died in military action. So it's the intelligence that is suggesting that they were strangled, and they are backing that up with forensics. Crazy things happen when you strangle somebody and oxygen gets cut off. Lots of different things happen to the body, but I want you to picture this for a minute. I don't have a baby in front of me. I don't. Maybe would sit this high off the desk. Maybe. Size of my microphone. A baby. And wrapping your head around their little neck and strangling it. That is the most freaking personal and brutal thing that you could ever possibly do. Period. It doesn't get any worse than that. And that's exactly what happened.
Today is a tragic day. It's a day of boundless sorrow, of indescribable pain. 4-year-old Ariel Bibas, his baby brother, 1-year-old Kfir, and 84-year-old Oded Lifshitz were brutally murdered by Hamas savages. Their bodies returned home to a nation in mourning, a nation that will never forget and never forgive the evil that cut down these beautiful souls. Since that black day on October 7th, when Hamas butchered and burned 1,200 of our families and friends,
thank you, Josh.
Israel waited with bated breath, hoping beyond hope that our hostages would survive the Hamas hell. Against all odds, we succeeded to bring many home. Some we rescued, some we tragically couldn't. The Bibas children in particular became the symbol of who we are and who we're fighting against. Here's a photo of the Bibas brothers. These perfect children, again, were 4 years old and less than 1 year old when the Hamas savages snatched them from their mother's arms. She fought like a lioness to protect her boys. Just imagine their horror Imagine their confusion. Perfect little children who never hurt a soul. A baby, for the love of God. They languish in captivity until Hamas murdered them in cold blood.
You could even hate Netanyahu. You could disagree with what he's doing inside Gaza. You could hate the war. You could be really, really upset. And you listen to me, you flipping Palestinian sympathizers out there right now. Because if I have to, I'll take the video of them being abducted again, where not a single Hamas fighter is seen. A man with a bloody t-shirt is seen. A man with an AK-47 is seen. They're being shoved and going into random places. That's all seen in the videos. You know what's not seen in the videos? Hamas. Palestinians killed them. And not just, I mean, even if you were to say it's Hamas, 100% of Hamas is Palestinian. I hope you understand that. Now, I want you to listen to me very carefully. A friend of mine pointed this out this morning. In World War II, even inside of Nazi Germany, wrap your head around this. World War II, Nazi Germany, Holocaust, concentration camps, gassing Jews to death, shooting them, mass graves. There was humans, people, German citizens that took Jews and hid them and smuggled them out and tried to get them to safety. Have you heard one story from Gaza of a single Palestinian trying to hide them for their safety? One. Just one story. Anyone? No, you haven't, because it didn't happen.
Who kidnaps a little boy and a baby and murders them? Monsters, that's who. These Hamas monsters also cynically refused to bring back the boy's mother, Shiri, and sent the body of a Gazan woman instead, in brazen violation of the agreement. Today, the heavens shake. The entire civilized world should condemn these horrific murders. The entire civilized world should join Israel in demanding the immediate release of all the hostages. All of Israel is united in grief. And as the Prime Minister of Israel, I vow that I will not rest until the savages who executed our hostages are brought to justice. They do not deserve to walk this earth. Nothing will stop me. Nothing. Ariel, Kfir, and Oded, I'm so sorry we couldn't save you from the monsters who did this. We honor your kind and loving souls.
There we go. Literally strangled to death. Literally strangled to death. They strangled a baby. I can't be more disgusted. I can't be more pissed off. I can't be more offended. They literally strangled a baby. Let me make sure it's not my VPN. Yes, it is. Strangled a baby. As I sit here spinning, waiting to get back up. Should be working. They strangled a flipping baby. I can't say it enough. They strangled a baby. They strangled a baby. I'll say it one more time. They strangled a baby. They strangled a baby. Not one Palestinian. Not one ever attempted, not once did they ever attempt. Didn't. Hamas releases this video. And I want you to look at the amount of propaganda. I don't know if you guys actually saw the transfer of those hostages yesterday. But I just want you to look at this casket in general that they prepared. As I say, oh, look at the dignity. Let's take a look at it. What did they put on there? Can anybody read that for me? Somebody that can read that. Somebody type down in the chat what that says for me. Please. I have no idea. I have no idea. What does that say? Anybody? I know there's people that can read that are watching this. Please tell me what that says. So as I continue on with this, look, I washed for supper. That's not what it says, but that is funny. Here's the problem. They put this massive propaganda scheme together yesterday. They released this video not that long ago. And then on top of all of that, we find out that the mom's not even real, that it's a random person. I mean, maybe it's not a random person. Maybe it's somebody else and they haven't been able to confirm the forensics yet. Maybe, I mean, but they say it's a Gazan, so I would assume that. But that's who they sent back. Look at the top of that casket. Look at the top of that casket. Look at what's up there. Now, here in just a minute, I'm going to end up pulling up something else for you guys. And when I pull that up, it's going to say, well, you know what? I'm going to wait because I'm going to show you what other people in the United States are saying. Not sure why they have question marks. I can't read that, but for some reason, there's an airplane on it. Iron Dog says there's no negotiating with that type of evil. I totally agree with you. Also, apparently they dug this body out of that building, which I highly doubt. That's probably staged as well. Now let's look at this massive stage for this dignified transfer that they ended up doing. I think I saw more cameras worth more money than I've ever seen before in my life. Like, they have camera setups over here. These guys do. All of them. And we could walk through this. They have more cameras. They have better camera setups than I do. Like, that are worth more money. If you don't believe me, go back, watch, and look at some of the cameras that they have on there. Yeah, speaking of staged, there's some old school ones, right? But you go and you watch the actual videos from yesterday of them doing this transfer. Maybe we'll see them in this. I forget. Cowards that can't show their faces. This one covers his whole face and wears sunglasses. Bunch of freaking pansies. Oh, look at him. Baby stranglers. Look at this guy down here. Look at that lens. That's up there. Look at that lens. Look at the size of that lens. How dignified is that? How dignified is that? Why is it black and freaking locked? AP Payne coming in gifting out 10. Appreciate you, brother. Why is it black? Anybody? There's civilians just standing around there. Look at them. And I'm going to show you a video of a lady that I believe was right up over here in this crowd in just a minute. And I'm going to show you what these people think. These innocent Palestinians that everybody is claiming are innocent. And remind you, not a single one of the people here, not one of them on that screen, tried to save any of them. Nobody hid a single Jew that was taken hostage alive that day. Not even a baby. Well, thank God for this dignified transfer. They brought out their freaking WMDs, right? Good on them. Nope, those are bombs. Oh, thank God he's there. Let's not forget about him. Oh, dignified transfer. I'm sorry. You guys, somebody in the chat remind me what this means. Let's take a look at this dignity right here. Anybody? And this is their propaganda video. This is dignity. Evil Rick, do you allow Netanyahu to off more Israeli prisoners and you are sour? Will you allow the Sahau to off more Israeli prisoners while you watch? I haven't seen any of the prisoners being offed on the Israeli side. Maybe I'm confused by your statement there. I think I need to get back into debunking more propaganda if we have true supporters that think that. Look at that dignity. Can anybody read that down there on the left corner of the screen? Killed something bombs. It's on the left side. Kind of hard to make out. Killed by bombs. They have set up this little stage and can't even own their own shit. How narcissistic are they that they actually have bombs set up on display next to them that with writing in English? Writing in English. Nobody in Gaza is running around reading English. Why would they have that on there? Remember back when Israel actually delivered humanitarian aid to the Shifa hospital? And they put English writing on the boxes. And I was like, well, that's propaganda. They're delivering humanitarian aid. They didn't need to put English writing on it. It's kind of stupid. How hypocritical would I be if I didn't point out that here you have English writing on the bombs? They're not even taking responsibility for killing these people. Wave Slide, Matt, thank you for your steadfast support of Israel and, more importantly, your service to our country. Thanks, brother. Evil Rick, that's what Google Translate said was on it. Oh, crap. Thank you. Thank you, Evil Rick. Do you allow Netanyahu to off more Israeli prisoners, and are you sour? That's pretty jacked up. So on those caskets, they put that. Thank you, Evil Rick, for clarifying. That's pretty messed up, man. They literally put propaganda on the caskets. I didn't have to read it. I knew it was. I knew it wasn't good. That's why I asked you guys to help me out and do the research for it. So thank you, Evil Rick, for doing that. But that's what they put on there. And what's sad is the amount of people that ate this crap up as if it was somehow dignified. That's not dignified. Like, you don't even have the backbone to jump in and say, oh my God, I killed these people. I'm sorry for taking them hostage. And so with all of that propaganda around, with all of that stuff in writing, with that video that they just released today, with all of that BS on the casket, they dress themselves in black and put the casket in black. And then they start walking. Thank God the Red Cross covered that up immediately. Immediately. By the way, who the hell brings AKs to a funeral. I understand a military version of doing a firing party. These are civilians. That's not what's happening. Can we please have some common sense? That's the shot I was looking for. This guy's got a gimbal. This guy's got a $3,000 camera lens. So is this guy. And they're all just walking around filming as this goes. Why do you suppose they're doing that? Look at these ones over here. Every single one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 possible cameras that are just standing around filming this. Yeah, I did. I saw that was also in English. They almost have more cameras there than they do AKs. You don't believe me? Look at the frickin' lens on that thing. Does that look like they're waving them off peacefully? There's children. Look at this. Look at this last shot. Wait for it. See these children that are running along? See the children running over? Do you think that they are celebrating maybe? Or do you think they're pissed off? This is the bullshit that we're dealing with. This is what people are trying to out there and claim are humane people. And they pissed off an entire nation. No BS. They literally pissed off an entire nation yesterday. If there was ever a chance for them not to be leveled, 13 cameras, General Sorrow says he counted. If there was ever a chance for a nation not to be pissed off, they failed. They absolutely failed. 110%. They failed not to piss off an entire nation. Let's listen in. Let's listen at the compassion. You ready? Now that there's no profit, like now that all of that's gone, let's just listen to what some of the people had to say during such a dignified transfer. What are you doing, my aunt? Allah grant them victory. Allah be with them. They are the ones who will liberate Palestine. Allah be with them. The land must return. It must be restored by them. Look at how starved and malnourished she is. She's eaten so damn much she got a cavity and her front teeth fell out. It's either that or she was smoking meth. I'm not sure which one, because her eyeballs are wide. So that's either her eyes lit with frickin' hate. We are asleep, but we have protectors. See these little children in the background? See these little kids? The homeland will not be restored except through resistance. Look at this lady's face. Just look at her. Saw a docu that said they use their own children to dig those tunnels. Alleyway June, you are correct. Alleyway June, you are 100% correct. I have seen it with my own eyes myself. They did use their own children. Wait for this. The homeland will not be restored except through resistance. They're not talking about Gaza. They're not talking about Gaza. They're talking about Israel. The occupation must be defeated. This occupation they're talking about is Israel. They're talking about Israel. Bubba P, thank you. For those that haven't caught up to this conflict and just saw this video and were like, you know what? I wonder what's actually happening inside Gaza. This occupation is not referring to Gaza. It's referring to Israel as a whole. And even after all that ordnance, all that war, all that death, all of that crying, all of that whining, all the humanitarian aid gets sent in to get people back. They put up a giant stage for these freaking kids and these nut jobs. And you think that I had to dig for this? Do you think I had to like just try and dig through the internet to find this one video to say that they're bad? Look at all the cameras that are out. These people are proud of it and they're blasting it on the internet. People are just too dumb to realize it. We cannot just sleep, expect victory to come to us. We cannot just sleep and expect victory to come to us. That is the victory of overthrowing Israel. And again, this is while they're transferring bodies. And she's eaten so damn much, her teeth are falling out, or she's smoking meth. She might be smoking meth. I don't know. That almost looks like meth teeth.
حجاه جيش الاحتلال دخل بجنوده احياء اليوم بيطلع منهم في توابيت.
Wait a minute. The occupation army entered Gaza with its soldiers and they were alive. But today they are leaving in coffins. Those were civilians they were transferring out. Ones that were taken on October 7th. And so if he says that they entered but they're leaving in coffins, he's referring to the civilians, which goes all the way back. Cottonmouth. Thanks, Jack. I'm not even going to have a discussion on Cot because it'll blow people's minds right now. But I would agree with that statement.
اليوم بيطلع منهم في توابيت.
You can't believe it, but we're victorious. They think they're victorious. Somebody please tell me that you want this person living in your country, that you want your tax dollars going to this. Who wants their tax dollars going to this? I don't. I don't want to feed meth mouth over there. Oh, weird. Now she's referencing the Quran. Why, oh, why do they think that they have a right to take over Israel? Because they call it, and I quote, their divine right. The last quote that I left you guys on when I said, somebody asked me who created Hamas, and I said Islam. And I wasn't lying. I wasn't misconstruing anything. Other people go, the Muslim Brotherhood, and then I go, I'm sorry, the what Brotherhood? They will continue their mission until the promise of Allah is fulfilled. They will continue their mission until the promise of Allah is fulfilled. And all of these people on this camera, they've all been indoctrinated. Make no mistake about it. You think that they're hiding this from these kids? You think they don't tell the kids this stuff? You think they don't teach it to their children that then grow up indoctrinated and then pick up rifles or strap on S-vests or rig houses or transport weapons or are used as messengers? You think they don't do that stuff? You think they don't use them to dig tunnels and tell them that they're doing good jihad work for God and that they're going to get a special place in heaven for doing that? You don't think they do that? They are full of morals and respect. And now she's encouraging the children. I didn't look for this video, by the way. This video just existed. I just happened to find it. It just happened to be there. Oh, good. You got the children to play along with you. This is pure evil, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this morning, let me go back over here. Let me show you guys something. I got to move this camera stand because it's really blocking my view and slowing me down, to be honest. It's really annoying. It's like right up over in the margin where I need to see, which kind of sucks. But hey, I'll get by. This morning, I put something out, and a lot of people are probably going to be upset with it, and that's okay. You can be upset because the truth is the truth when we really boil down to it. This morning over on Twitter, I put this out. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground. For I regret that I have made them. I just felt the need to share that this morning. I felt the need to put that out there, and I felt that need for a very, very good reason. There is no way that by just wiping out everybody that is holding a rifle, you would ever stop this madness. It's just not possible. It's not. And if you think it is, you live in Delulu land. That's where you live. And so you can try to take the humane route by re-educating them. Would you like your tax dollars to go to turning Gaza into a massive re-education camp? I'm sure that's going to go well. You know how delusional people are? This is how delusional people are. Now, after everything I just showed you, you have trolls like Suppressed News. Over 500,000 people follow this nut job. Over 500,000. And I want you to look at what this propaganda that got put out. Over 8,000 morons liked this post. Almost 9,000 people. 127,000 people. And it says, do you see the difference even in the treatment of bodies and remains? The double standards and the dehumanization of Palestinians must end. Clearly, he didn't watch the same videos I did. And by the way, if we go back and we look and see how the Palestinians were burying their people in the mass graves outside of the hospitals and all that other crap, if we were to go back and look at that, they were not even wrapped up that well. I will reverse image search it. I'm going to figure out where it came from. I don't care. But regardless, 500,000 people actually looked at, like, over 500,000 people on that thing. Meanwhile, yesterday, inside Tel Aviv, this problem was happening. Buses were exploding. Bombs on buses. Why not? Why not? Put bombs on buses. I got a picture one of y'all sent me. I'm going to show it here in a sec. I'm going to show you how it was done. This is one of the nut jobs doing it on the bus. Nobody was hurt. So that I've heard so far. Nobody got hurt, thank God. Here he is, texting his buddies. What's up, bro? I'm here. I'm ready. He goes and he mingles in the back of the bus and he plants his little device. He does his thing. And then after he does this chicken shit bastard doesn't even have the balls to stand on here long enough. Wait for this. I had to watch this video and figure it out. He put it out, he armed it, and he yells at the bus driver to stop the bus. Is that what just happened? This frickin' pansy arms this thing and yells at the bus driver to stop it because he's scared? False flag? What false flag? As if they don't do this crap. Oh my God. How can you even say false flag after watching that? How is that a false flag? Have you lost your damn mind? False flag. So no wonder over in the West Bank, this is happening. And yet there's people that go, why is Israel in the West Bank? There's no Hamas in the West Bank. There couldn't possibly be. 90 so far this week. 90 terrorists have been taken so far this week. I watched a video, I think it was a couple weeks ago, where they literally dropped a freaking thermite grenade onto a vehicle that was rigged with explosives over there as well. Remind me again that there's no terrorists in the West Bank. And who gives a shit what they call themselves? Who cares if they call themselves Hamas? Who cares if they call themselves the Al-Qassam? Who cares if they call themselves the PIJ? Who cares what they call themselves? Who gives a rat's butt? Al-Qaeda? ISIS? Does it matter? No. You know, there is, though, one common thread through all of these people, regardless of what they call themselves. And they use a particular book to justify their actions. Imagine that. One book in particular, not going to say what it is, one book in particular. And while we're talking about Nazi salutes and everything else, let's go take a look at Nasrallah's grave today. You know, where he got buried alive for being a mass murdering nut job? Let's take a look at people standing over his graveside. You want to play around with the Nazi salute? Huh? You guys like to accuse everybody else of the Nazi salute? What's this guy doing? What's this guy doing? Not one person in Gaza, not one person in Gaza tried to save the babies. As a matter of fact, I saw the video myself of Palestinians dressed in civilian attire, one who had blood all over his shirt, that took them and they strangled them.
على العهد أن يكون لبنان إسرائيليا ولا أمريكيا. على العهد.
This dude is seriously crying over Nasrallah's grave, where he was buried alive. How freaking delulu do you have to be?
بدماءك يا سيد وقسما بدماء الشهداء سنحفظ المقاومة. قسما بدماءك يا سيد قسما بدماءك يا سيد سنكون أوفياء.
Oh, what do you know? They have really nice cameras there to cover everything. Weird. It's like I saw that somewhere earlier in this broadcast. Hill Marsh. Vengeance like this for the blood of a child. Satan has yet to devise, excuse me.
القضية التي استشهدت من أجلها فلسطين حتى إزالة هذا الكيان عن الكرة الأرضية. قسما بدمائك يا سيد.
I'm glad there's a lot of you that are looking at this going, dude, WTF, man, WTF. Let's, I mean, it's not like there's any Americans doing some weird stuff like that, right? Americans would never do that, right? Americans would never hang out with, I don't know, Hezbollah.
Hello, IDF. We took a little gift from the front line.
Wonderful.
Like my taxpayer dollars.
What your taxpayer dollars went to. I'm really glad you're picking up ammunition, and it wasn't your taxpayer dollars, you numbnuts. They actually buy that stuff. They literally buy it. It's arms sales. You freaking nut job. This guy is such, you know, somebody told me earlier, I referred to him as a PUSSY on Twitter, and some nice lady commented and said, please don't refer to him as that. Call him a DICK, because a PWSY can at least take a pounding. And I couldn't help but laugh, because this guy has never fired a shot in anger. He's never seen combat, and he's over there whining and crying, saying that this is massive destruction. He's never seen anything like this. I thought he was in eastern Ukraine. I thought he embedded with Russia. I thought he went walking over there. I thought he was on the front lines acting like a tough guy. Dude, Go look at Bakhmut, you frickin' moron. That looks there's a building standing there, for crying out loud.
My taxes are being wasted on genocide and terrorism.
Oh, genocide. Genocide and terrorism. I've literally been talking for almost an hour now about a baby being strangled, and he's got the cojones to call it. Like, he doesn't have them, let's be honest. I don't know what to call him. I reject him from the male sex. Clearly, females don't accept him. So I don't even know where to put him or what category. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a third sex that I didn't know about. Maybe transgenders actually got it all figured out, and this moron actually fits in there somehow. You know?
What do we see here?
I see war crimes, just war crime after war crime after war crime, but...
Oh, he sees war crimes. Clearly, he's got some sort of an education and some sort of a basis to know what a war crime is. Clearly, he knows what took place there. He was there for the battle. Oh, what a man.
But now we see the resistance and the rebuild.
Oh, the resistance.
The reconstruction efforts, clearing the rubble. And there's, it's a very sad sight. I've never seen any sort of destruction like this in my life.
I've never seen any sort of destruction like this in my life. Maybe because you're a fucking bitch and you've been hiding in your basement collecting dollars. Maybe that's why. And I just demonetized this broadcast.
Crazy.
Welcome for this.
Forgive me for my language. So yeah, it's not just them. And there should be a triangle over his head. But, you know, I did say that we were going to talk about Ukraine and Russia and stuff. So let's get into that. Let's talk about it for a second. And here's a great segue. If you didn't know what you're about to listen to, this is Putin claiming success for everything over like that just occurred.
Добрый день. Очень рад вас видеть. И прежде всего хочу попросить вас наилучшие пожелания Исааку Турфанову, нашему гражданину, его близким, в связи с освобождением из плена. Хотел бы сказать, что это стало возможным, в том числе благодаря последовательной политике Российской Федерации по ближневосточному урегулированию.
Oh, thank God Putin was there.
Что вызывает доверие со стороны многих партнеров региона и благодаря, конечно, доброй воле со стороны России.
Do you need me to rewind that? Look. Thanks to the goodwill of Hamas management, Putin's delusional butt just said, thanks to the goodwill of Hamas management. Let me rewind that in case you missed it.
И благодаря, конечно, доброй воле со стороны руководства Хамаса. Знаю, что испытания были непростыми, и он и вся семья прошли этот период, слава Богу, что дома, в кругу своих близких.
Я как раз встретился с ним пару дней назад, в воскресенье. Благодарность вам даже невозможно выразить, потому что мама и он сам просто попросили передать вам огромную благодарность. Даже, потому что как относились к нему. Все время они знали, что вы лично заботились, думали о нем. И даже президент Израиля отправил вам письмо специально выразить благодарность за ваше участие. Мы всегда говорим, что тот, который спасает жизнь одного человека, как будто он спас весь мир.
Oh, thank God Putin was there to help, ladies and gentlemen. Like, we're not getting delusional enough. Now we've got Putin in claiming victory on it. So let's talk about it for a minute, because a lot of you guys have inquired about it. J.D. Vance this morning put this out, and it's in response to Niall Ferguson, who said, he quotes George W. Bush. for going into Kuwait. He says, this will not stand, this aggression against Kuwait. George H.W. Bush, August 5th, 1990. And Vance actually doubles down on everything that him and Trump say. Now, because I defend one statement doesn't mean I defend them all. Let's be clear. And we're going to be very fair in our assessment of these statements. For 3 years, President Trump and I have made two simple arguments. First, the war wouldn't have started if Trump was in office. I believe it, but you have no way to prove it. Second, that neither Europe nor the Biden admin nor the Ukrainians had a pathway to victory. This was true 3 years ago. It was true 2 years ago. It was true last year as it is today. Now, I don't believe that to be an accurate statement. This is the Vice President of the United States speaking. I am quoting to you the Vice President of the United States. He doesn't think that there was a pathway years ago to ensuring victory when Russia first went in there. You know, before they had the chance to dig all those trenches and mine everything and do all that bat crazy stuff, I think they did. And the opportunity for them to have had victory at that point in time would have been to supply them with the proper amount of everything up front, maybe even help them out with a sortie here or there, and that would have gotten victory. That would have pushed them out because they wouldn't have been able to set up those massive defensive perimeters. But because we didn't try to do it correctly under the Biden administration, because we didn't try to do it correctly, we'll never know. So again, my statement within itself can't be validated. I'm just stating it as it is. He says, for 3 years, the concerns of people who were obviously right were ignored. What is Null's actual plan for Ukraine? Another aid package? Is he aware of the reality on the ground of the numerical advantage of the Russians, of the depleted stock of the Europeans, or their even more depleted industrial base? Those are fair statements. And this is where I wish J.D. Vance, while he may have been a cameraman and a Marine, maybe he had a little bit of combat experience and he would understand from actual trigger time that numbers don't actually mean victory. Number one, while our Western allies, European allies, security has benefited greatly from the generosity of the United States, I think that's a fair statement. They pursue domestic policies on migration and censorship that offend the sensibilities of most Americans and defense policies that assume continued over-reliance. I agree with that statement. Number two, Russians have a massive numerical advantage in manpower and weapons in Ukraine, and that advantage will persist regardless of further weapon aid packages. Again, the aid is currently flowing. Now, notice what he did here. He put asterisks around currently. And again, this is the Vice President of the United States. Oh, yeah, they're making more than ever, but they depleted before they cranked up their weapons making machine. Just like the United States, we depleted our supplies to help Ukraine. And I can prove it with a statement from Joe frickin' Biden. Joe Biden admitted on a national interview that we ran out of 155 HE shells. He admitted it. Ukraine was shooting more ammunition than we could produce and give to them. Joe Biden admitted it on national TV. Number three, the United States retains subtle leverage over both parties to the conflict. Substantial leverage. Retains substantial leverage. I would agree to that statement as well. We do have leverage over Russia, and we do have leverage over Ukraine. Number five, the conflict has placed and continues to place stress on the tools of America's statecraft, from military stockpiles to sanctions, and so much else. Like I just said, we literally drained ourselves of 155 shells. Joe Biden admitted it. That's why we ended up giving them cluster munitions. Joe Biden stated that was the reason for us giving them cluster munitions. It's a fact. This will never get flagged as misinformation because it's a fact. Given the above facts, we must pursue peace, and we must pursue it now. President Trump ran on this, he won on this, and he is right about this. It is a lazy, historical nonsense to attack as appeasement every acknowledgement that America's interest must account for the realities of the conflict. That interest, not moralisms or historical illiteracy, will guide President Trump's policy in the weeks to come. Now, obviously, those are opinions. And I told you guys way ahead of the elections that I think Trump understands the Middle East, but he doesn't understand Ukraine. And he doesn't have a good handle on the situation. He said he could end it the next day. And I told you, no, he can't. He promised peace within 100 days. I don't see that happening. We're now 30 days into it, and I see no sign of peace ahead. As a matter of fact, I see Zelensky's talking smack, and the good plan that it looks like we developed with, getting the security guarantees so Ukraine could get their weapons is falling through. And then you look at what the vice president just tweeted out. Again, this is the vice president of the United States of America that basically just threatened to cut off aid for Ukraine. Again, the aid is currently flowing with asterisks. The vice president of the United States just threatened to cut off aid to Ukraine. I told you that they don't really understand. Now, I'm about to play something from the Secretary of State, and then I'm going to give you my comments on this whole situation.
When President Trump posts that President Zelensky is a dictator without elections, what are you thinking?
I think President Trump is very upset at President Zelensky, and in some cases, and rightfully so. Look, number one, Joe Biden had frustrations with Zelensky. People shouldn't forget it. There are newspaper articles out there about how he cursed at him in a phone call because Zelensky, instead of saying thank you for all your help, is immediately out there messaging what we're not doing or what he's not getting. I think the second thing is, frankly, I was personally very upset because we had a conversation with President Zelensky, the vice president and I, the three of us. And we discussed this issue about the mineral rights. And we explained to them, look, we want to be in a joint venture with you, not because we're trying to steal from your country, but because we think that's actually a security guarantee. If we're your partner in an important economic endeavor, we get to get paid back some of the money the taxpayers have given, close to $200 billion. And it also, now we have a vested interest in the security of Ukraine. And he said, sure, we want to do this deal. It makes all the sense in the world. The only thing is I need to run it through my legislative process. They have to approve it. I read 2 days later that Zelensky's out there saying, I rejected the deal. I told him, no way, that we're not doing that. Well, that's not what happened in that meeting. So you start to get upset by somebody. We're trying to help these guys. One of the points the president made in his messaging is not that we don't care about Ukraine, but Ukraine is on another continent. It doesn't directly impact the daily lives of Americans. We care about it because it has.
I'll address that statement here in a minute because it absolutely does affect the daily lives of Americans.
Implications for our allies and ultimately for the world. There should be some level of gratitude here about this. And when you don't see it and you see him out there accusing the president of living in a world of disinformation, that's very counterproductive. And I don't need to explain to you or anybody else, President Trump's not the kind of person that's going to sit there and take that. He's very transparent. He's going to tell you exactly how he feels. And he sent a message that he's not going to get gamed here. He's willing to work on peace because he cares about Ukraine. And he hopes Zelensky will be a partner in that and not someone who's out there putting this sort of counter messaging to try to, hustle us in that regard. That's not going to be productive here.
When President.
Okay, so because I know I'm going to catch a lot of hate over what I'm about to say here, I'm going to run a poll. Actually, I'm going to start a Q&A. How many lives hold on, let me get this going. Start a poll. How many lives is Eastern Ukraine worth? 1 million? 2 million? I want you guys to answer this honestly. I will pull up the map if you need me to, but I want you guys to vote in this poll that I just threw down in the chat. And I put it there for a reason, because we're well over 1 million lives. well over 1 million lives, probably getting closer to 10. And I'm not talking Ukrainian lives or Russian lives, just lives. How many lives is Eastern Ukraine worth? And I see a lot of people, 40% of you are throwing in. No, okay, so let's let this poll. This poll is apparently very popular because it's just racking up freaking votes right now. A lot of people are saying 0 in the chat. There's people that are voting already. And it looks like we have a swing, either 1 million or 10 million. Now, the reason I ask this question and the reason I bring this up is it's a fact. While you guys continue to vote in this poll, please vote. It is a fact that Putin has threatened nuclear warfare. I didn't make that up. I didn't state that. It just is what it is. Period. Putin's threatened nuclear warfare. Hold on a second. Give me 1 sec here. While I put this up on the screen. And please keep voting. Now, I asked that question for a reason. 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. We are holding really strong 40% saying it's worth 1 million. Well, we're already well over 1 million. Only 10% of you think 2 million. Only 10%-ish think 5 million right now. And almost 40% of you think 10 million. Cool. So it's actually 36% right now as people continue to vote. So 36% think it's worth 10 million. So for you 36% that are that committed, I know I'm not talking American lives. I'm not talking Ukraine. I'm just lives. Because people are dying on both sides. Fentanyl Floyd says 19 trillion. What's wrong with putting a nuke right here? Anybody? Right here. Can anybody give me a good reason that voted for 10 million lives why we shouldn't put a nuclear weapon right here? Anybody? Can anybody give me a good reason why a nuclear weapon that voted for 10 million lives, we shouldn't drop one right there? Anybody? Mad? Wind? 10 million lives, right? You said 10 million lives. It's worth 10 million lives. You said it's worth 10 million. So just throw a nuke at it. That's how many people are going to die when you drop a frickin' nuke. Not there. No nukes. Oh, God, what's the difference between people dying in nuclear warfare versus people slowly dying daily? Anybody at all? Anybody? Get it over with. This isn't me being a jerk. I'm just saying, if you think it's worth 10 million, then drop a nuke. Putin's, okay, let me ask this question then. Let me ask this question. Now that we have so many of you guys that voted in that, here's another poll. Stick around for me. Hear me out. Stick around for me. Because my goal right now is just to ask you guys questions. When is it okay to use a nuke? I want you guys to vote on this poll. When is it okay to use a nuclear weapon? Vote on that poll for me. Don't worry, never's an option. Never's an option. I put it up there for you. Never's an option. Vote for me. Jake says nuclear war would be hundreds of millions. Why, Jake? Why, Jake? You said 10 million's okay. Some people, maybe not Jake, but some people said 10 million's okay. Some people think that 10 million lives is acceptable to win back Eastern Ukraine. So, you know what? Yeah, I know how strategically important that land is. You're absolutely correct. So if it's worth 10 million lives, and we know mutually assured destruction, and you're okay with all of that, then it's time to shit or get off the pot, because Russia has already threatened nuclear warfare numerous times. This isn't me advocating for nuclear warfare. I'm asking a very simple question. If it's worth 10 million lives, why not take 10 million lives and take away the idea of mutually assured destruction? You don't think we know where those are at, the actual functioning ones? You don't think we couldn't just drop those on Russia and China and North Korea and be like, boom, 10 million done. Now get the hell out of the East. You don't think we could do that? 10 million lives. Now, 50% of you say it's never okay to use them. 40% think only in self-defense. So 40% are willing to allow their people to get nuked first. Now, the key in self-defense is defense. I haven't lost my mind. I haven't. No, I haven't lost my mind. I am thinking very clearly. Thank you very much. I am just being honest. You said 10 million lives. So if self-defense is an excuse to use a nuclear weapon, do you have to wait for somebody to hurt you before you hurt them? Legally. Legally, if Russia said we're about to invade Ukraine, could Ukraine attack them? The answer is yes, if they're taking proactive measures to do so. So all of you, the 40%, 43% that said self-defense, well, guess what? It is self-defense because that nut job threatened nuclear warfare. Listen to me. Putin has threatened nuclear warfare. He has taken active measures towards nuclear warfare. He has laid out his grounds for nuclear warfare. Maybe I haven't done a good enough job covering it on this channel, and maybe I should start doing it, but Putin has literally laid out nuclear warfare. His grounds and basis that he thinks legally in his Delulu mind that nuclear war is okay. I don't have to wait for somebody to launch a nuke on me. And I love that. Ukraine doesn't have nukes. You're absolutely correct. They gave them up. Budapest Memorandum. We talked about all this stuff, right? They signed on to the NPT. Good for them. I'm not talking about Ukraine. No, this isn't radical. This is common sense. You know what's radical in my mind? People that don't have the balls to actually do something when an evil man is threatening honest, God-fearing, innocent people with nuclear weapons. That's not radical. That's literally self-defense. A man that has invaded a country and killed millions of people is threatening nuclear warfare, and you think I'm Delulu for wanting to defend innocent people. You think I'm Delulu? I think you're Delulu for not listening to him. You ever heard, like, don't trust people's words, trust their actions? Look at the screen. Look at the screen. And if it's never okay to use a nuclear weapon, well, just get rid of them. For the other 46% of you that have voted in that manner. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't me being a jerk. This isn't me, like, losing my mind. This isn't me. And I love that all of you guys think for some reason that I've lost my shit. No, I haven't. It's just common flipping sense. It's the same stance I have on Gaza. Why should I have a different stance when it comes to Russia? The Palestinians have flat out said they want to take over all of Israel. That's what Hamas is fighting for, to take over all of Israel. Right? And what's Russia going for? They're threatening nuclear warfare, just like Iran. When are you people going to wake up? You know why this is on your screen right now, this map with all of the red? Because of you freaking pacifists that think it's never okay. That's why that happened. It wouldn't have mattered if Trump was in office, in my opinion. Maybe not. Maybe. But the moment the world wakes up and goes, people are literally threatening lives, not Ukrainian lives, but American. By the way, Putin threatened America with nuclear weapons. I don't know if you noticed or not. when he said that America is the one doing all of this for Ukraine and they have the receipts to prove it. That's Russia threatening America with nuclear warfare. Last week, they were flying bombers towards the coast of the United States of America that got intercepted with frickin' fighter jets. That was a week ago. How are you not awake yet, man? People need to wake up. Seriously, you guys, wake up. The world is not a safe place. You just want to wait for Russia to nuke us before you get drug in? There was another war in history where we refused to get involved because it didn't involve us. It was Europe's problem. Do you remember that? No, my first poll wasn't confusing. I just didn't want to mess with your brain because for some reason killing 10 million people with a nuclear weapon is different than allowing 10 million nameless soldiers to die on a battlefield, right? Right? What happened in World War II? United States stayed out of it. We were doing pretty much what we're doing now. We had Americans that were flying up over to Europe and doing things in Europe on their own. Hitler was running amok. Japan was running amok. And America still got attacked. Those who don't learn from history are bound to repeat it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me for another episode of the